So when it comes to electricity, we've been challenged for some time. Before His Excellency got into office, we faced a situation where we literally had 3 days of 1 day on or half day on electricity.
Is that what you call Dumsor?
That is the only Ghanaian.
That's the only Ghanaian word I know.
But we moved from Dumsor, my brother. We moved from Dumsor. We are at the situation called Dum Sie Sie. But we also have 88.75 electricity access rate in the country. Huge country. And we are starting to feel the effects of taking electricity to almost all the countries. But because we came from such a challenged position, a lot of contracts were signed to bring on energy. But when you look at the electricity value chain, it's not only generation. You have to supply the generators with the fuel. And then you hear solar, you hear wind. Some are even talking about geothermal, nuclear, gas, crude oil, coal. And we can talk about all these sources of fuel for electricity generation. Africa abounds in all of them. Yet, we are the most energy poor continent in the world. And we pay the highest for energy or electricity in the world.
Why are we today still paying the most for energy and we're still energy poor and we cannot really deliver?
It's not rocket science. We think in African ways. And the ways we've been brought up to think is that produce and export. That's all the way Africa. My brother, even now that we are all aware of energy transition, we are still thinking about produce and export. Not produce and utilize in Africa to make Africa better. Not a single country in Africa thinks about Africa, that country that is in. So when you even go to their trade shows or their expo shows and things, it's always how much can we export? Check. It's called export. Never use. When we found oil, intentionally or unintentionally, our only refinery just when we started getting oil on commercial basis. Why? To further export. Before this government got into power, that's why I like the question. All our generating plants were liquid fuel. All of them. All of them. All of them use liquid fuel. Since this government came, all of them use gas. We have hydro as a backup, we have always had hydro. But it's been gas, gas, gas. We are not only talking about commercializing gas, we are using gas. We've used gas so much so that now we are short of gas ourselves. So we live by it and we don't get the credit for it. 30% or 35% of all our electricity is produced from hydro sources. We don't get any credit for it because the white man will tell you, or the West will tell you, that is a legacy hydro. Right?
Yes.
And not long before the COVID pandemonium, not long before this energy transition stuff, you couldn't even get investment into hydro, which Africa abounds. On one of only Africa's many rivers, the hydro potential can supply the whole of Africa with electricity. But we got no investment. We got no investment. When you talk about uranium as a fuel, the cleanest energy produced is produced from probably nuclear. Cleanest. Almost all the uranium assets are in Africa, or 40% is in Africa. When you go to Niger, it is one of their biggest resources. But they have no nuclear plants. Even South Africa that had a nuclear plant, I'm not sure it was still working when the black man took charge. So we continue to produce.